this bobber and hat. The surfers riding waves, can you top that? The mermaid gnomes got sparkle and sass. This summer set's a total blast. One dye to cut them all, oh how neat. Perfect cutouts can't be beat. Stamp and smile, you're feeling bold. Let your summer stories unfold. It's Meg's Gnomes, summer splash. Making magic with the Gnome stash. Craft your heart out, have a blast. Only at not too shabby, better grab it fast. Sun sand stamps, oh what a day. Gnome sweet gnome, the crafty way. Meg's Gnome summer splash. Get inky, stay cheeky, add these gnomes to your stash.
Hello, this is Sandy Ledoux, and I'm here to show you how to color Meg's surfer gnome. So I know if you've been following and you saw the previous video, then you would know that she did the fisherman, and I'm going to do this one. And Sire is going to be up next, and he's going to do this one. So you'll get to see them all today. I have started by just stamping the gnome once, but I put some little accents on it. So I wanted you to be able to see. So he's going to look like this when we get done. We're going to do him just like this. So we're going to put some fish on his hat and some waves on his shorts. And I wanted to show that in the video in case you guys wanted to work with that as well. So the stamps are very tiny. These are the little waves. So I'm just going to tap it in my Memento ink. And I started from the left side and I just stamped the little waves in there, just like that. I don't know if you can see that. I'm going to try to zoom in so you can see it just a little better. So when I wiped off the stamp, and I went in there and just touched one of the waves for the last one. If I wanted to add one more, I could. So it'd be just like that. And then I added to the hat. So let's do the whole thing real quick. I have the stamp already pulled out. I'm using Hammer Mill paper, the one with the awesome little chameleon on the front. So we take our little guy, we stamp him on here, just like that. And then we take our little waves, and you can see them to line them up. I think I'll just put 3 on this side, and then we'll put 4 on the other side. So 3 here. 1 more. So I'm going to wipe it off before I start because you know we do not want to accidentally get it everywhere, which can happen a lot. And then I took the little fish from the stamp set and I stuck them on the hat, like right here in the corner, just because I thought it was super cute to add those little fish. I did one more additional accent to the stamp set before I got started on coloring it. So I just took a little ruler and I want to make some lines on the surfboard just to give it a little bit of extra accent, you know, because I'm all that. I like to go above and beyond. And so I am actually just moving my iPad around so I can see comments. So I have, this is a Copic multi-liner, and I like to use the 0.5 if I'm going to color it. So I just set my ruler here on the edge. Just make sure you stay in about the same spot from the tip of the surfboard. And then I just put a line there. And then I came on the other side and you could put any kind of design on here that you wanted. That's what makes it fun. You could even put the fish on the surfboard or the waves on the surfboard. I mean, there's just so many different things that you can do. So I just wanted to decorate up my little surfboard just a little bit more than regular. Oh, thanks. My nails are my favorite color, just saying. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, the multi-liner won't bleed. You won't have any issues or anything like that. So don't worry about that when you're using the Copic multi-liners. They work just like the Copics and as good as the Memento. So I have chosen my colors for the skin tone, and I have decided on E000, 00, E04, E11, E21, and then we have R11 for the cheeks, and we're going to put some on the nose and the shoulders. We want him to look like he's a little sunburned because he's at the beach resort. Seriously, I just like to tell stories with my images. So when I'm doing a live, I'm always telling a little story to go along with it so you can kind of visualize what I have in mind for my little image at the time. So sometimes if I make a mistake or something, I'll give you a little story to go with that too, because why not? We're just putting this base coat of E000. I like to do that when I'm doing skin tones because I feel like it gives me just a little bit of wetting of the paper, so the blending kind of starts happening on its own. You'd love the storytelling. I do tell a lot of stories when it comes to coloring. So I do color dark to light. I know that you can do it however you want. Do what works best for you. I used to do light to dark, but then, I learned that it uses more ink, and I like to save on ink because ink's expensive. So I now do dark to light. I'm going to put a little bit of darkness, this E04, under his nose because he has a big nose. And then his hair is covering his shoulders. So I'm going to put just a little bit here as well, where his arm is folded. And then, of course, this is the underside, so it wouldn't get as much sun. And then over here, the surfboard's kind of covering his arm. So I'm going to put a little bit of color there, and then the fold, of course, and the underside of his arm. And we'll worry about fingers and such here in the next step. I'm also going to do where his shorts are covering his little feet. I want to put just a little bit there. He has baggy shorts, he's a surfer. Yay, thanks for sharing. Next, I'm going to go with E11, and this one is going to blend into the E04 and extend up a little bit further from where that previous color was. Just make sure that when you blend them together that you get rid of that line between this color and your previous color. If you keep going over and over and over and over, you're going to lose the dark color. So just go over it one time and then go back a second time just where the line is, and it will soften that line for you so that you don't wash out the depth of the shadow color. So that's kind of how I do it. And now I'm adding just a little bit of shadow to those hands with this second skin tone color. This is just the way that I like to color. I mean, everybody has their own style, and everyone teaches just a little bit different. And that's great because you can learn something from everyone, which is why this hop is so wonderful today, because you're going to get to see different people color and their different take on how they do it and what they like to do. And that just makes it so much fun. I'm following along. I'm coloring the gnomes as well with everyone else. I didn't really say a whole lot on the last live, but I was with you guys. I was just nervous getting ready for the live. Not that I should, since I do lives all the time, but this is for Meg stuff. So I wanted to make sure I did a good job. The next color I have is E21, and we're not going to put a whole lot of E21 on here, but it is just, mine is just slightly darker than the E11. And so I want to just add a teeny bit more depth in here. And then we're going to add some red for the sunburn. I mean, he's at the beach. Come on. You know, I'm about as white as he was when I started with this white piece of paper. And I just burn and then turn back white. I mean, there's no tanning for this poor Texas girl here. So we're going to do him kind of like I would look if it happened to me. Sunburn, then back to white. Okay, so we're going to switch to, normally I use R11. A lot of people use R20, so you have lots of options. R11, R20, R21, any of those would work. R11 is my favorite because it's subtle, yet it still gives you that pinky look. And we're putting that on the top of his nose, kind of the top of his hands, the top of this arm, and a little bit up the arm. And same over here. This is not going to be real obvious once we put the next color on, but for now, I want him to look just a little bit pink. I mean, we don't want to fry him. The aloe vera stamp. Exactly. I mean, we don't want to fry him. We just want to give him a little bit of sun. So we're going to settle that with our E00, which is our last skin tone color. So I'm going to go over the whole thing with the E00 just to soften all of that up a little bit, because we want that skin tone to be really soft and really well blended together. So I'm just kind of going over all of it, but with a very light touch because I don't want to wash out any of my colors. We're going to just get his little toes colored in here. I do have an entire card to finish up, so hopefully I will have enough time. I am watching the clock. I hope I do. I have it ready just in case. Okay, so that is skin tone done. Woo woo. All right, one step ahead. Next, we're going to start. I have chosen some colors, and we're going to stick with the same colors throughout. So that was the skin tone, and then our hair color, and we're going to give him red hair because that makes it even more fun and more the reason why he has a sunburn. And these gnomes are available during the hop only, and then they'll be released at a later time. So we have E49, E29, E09, and E08. So starting with E49. This is my favorite for dark color hair because it's so dark that it really gives that depth. So these small areas over here, I'm just going to add some of this really dark color to it, but in a very fine line. So if you're not used to using Copics or other markers, you want to hold that marker upright as much as you can. I'm not doing that as much right now because then you can't see the image while I color it, but you will want to hold your marker upright. That will give you the finest line that you're trying to put in here. And the closer to the bottom, the more control you have on the marker. So you want to hold it upright and you want to hold it all the way to the edge of the marker so that you have a lot of control. Now, when we're doing live videos, we kind of have to wing that just a little bit. So just keep those tips in mind when you're coloring yours. This part over here is a bit of hair as well. So we're going to go ahead and get that in there. Now, I know gnomes usually have gray hair, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a different option. So I went with the red. I mean, I could have went with purple because those who know me know I love purple hairs, but I decided to go with red. So I have a little bit of this depth color in there. And then I'm going to switch to the E29, which is also a dark brown color. The red will come in the next two colors. So this is just going to enhance some of those lines so that it actually looks like hair. I mean, you got to have these lines, and you don't want to blend too much so that that line goes away, because then it just looks like you colored it one color and you didn't go through all the steps of making this look like real hair. So leave those lines in there. It's okay. I know it feels weird, but you can do it anyway. The next one is E09, and this is the one that's going to bring in the red, and you'll see it as soon as I start. It's almost like an orangey red, but that's kind of how hair is anyway. It's usually not bright red, not fire engine red. So I'm adding a little bit of this. We'll leave a small area for the last color, which is just a highlight color. So I don't leave a lot of area for that, just a little bit. So there we go. You can see the very small, tiny areas. And the next one is E08. And I'm just going to fill that in. And then look at how cute he looks with his little red hair. It's definitely why he's sunburned so much. Because those of us who have red in our hair know that we just fry. My mom, definitely one of those. Okay, now that's hair and skin, and the other colors that I'm using today are E47, 44, 43, and 42. Those are going to be our taupe color. And then we have orange and blue. So I'm sticking with all of those three combinations for the whole thing. So YR18, 16, YR04, and B26, B16, and B04. And then we are definitely bringing in the colorless blender. I don't know if you have Copics and you don't have the colorless blender, you should buy that first. It is absolutely the best. And I'm going to show you a technique to use it for here in just a minute. So I'm going to start with his little waves down here, and I just want to get in a little bit of this dark blue. So I'm just doing it around the one side of each wave and the bottom. So along the left side and along the bottom, just to get a bit of that blue in there. And we're also going to do, and we might as well do it at the same time, we're also going to do his little shirt in blue. So I'm going to put it under the dark color, under his hand and under his surfboard. There we go. Now we are definitely going to use more of this blue, but since these little spaces are so tiny, I'm just going to use the B04 to finish this off. I don't need three colors, two is fine. Bright redheads, the rest are browns. Yes, we have a lot of redheads, which is why purple works with my skin tone, because I had red in my hair prior to making it purple. Okay, now I'm going to do each wave. So I'm just going to go down and finish out the rest of each one of these little waves. And let me tell you, this cute little wave added to the clothes, it's such a cute little addition. I just love it. So this part right here, it's a little hard to see, but it's right there. That's his belly, or it's going to be his belly in mine. So I'm going to take that E11 that I used on his skin tone and just put E11 only right across his belly. We don't need any shadow. It's so small, you're not really going to be able to see any shadow, even if you tried to do it. So next we're going to do the tan pants. So using our E47, we're also going to do the hat. So we might as well do them at the same time because why not, right? So I'm going to put this darkest color underneath his surfboard. And then right here, no one ever likes to talk about that part of right there. And then I'm going to go along this area of his hat right here where this fold is, because a fold would definitely have a bit more shadow. So I'm going to put a little bit along this edge right here and then along that fold. And then I'm going to do it on this side as well, like right here. And then also you want to put some shadow underneath these goggles because they're, well, I call them goggles. I mean, they could be his glasses, but they look like goggles to me. I mean, he is surfing. Maybe he wears goggles when he surfs in case he falls in, you know? I mean, I know if I was surfing, I would definitely be in the water more than I was on the water. So I've never surfed, but how much fun would that be? I have only kayaked. That's it. No surfing for me. You colored the surfer dude without a shirt. How cool is that? That's an amazing idea. See, it's always whatever your take is when you're coloring something. That's why whenever I draw images and people color them, it makes me feel like so excited to see the way other people see it, because when you draw it, and Meg can attest to this now, you have something in mind, but it might not be what everyone else sees. So color what you think it should look like, and then everyone gets to see your different ideas. I love it. Sometimes people surprise you with all of their ideas, and I love that part. So I'm just adding a little bit of accent with the second color just to keep that depth in the hat. Well, we're going to need a bit of that depth for the technique that we're going to do here in a little bit. So that's why I'm leaving it so dark. It will be washed out a bit when we get finished, but for now. And we got to get this hat filled in, because if you guys want to do the whole card, we got to have enough time for that. So there we go. Our next color is going to be E43. You drew it so you could have a shirt or not. See, it's so awesome when we think of that. Think of different things like that. I do that as well. Different ideas, giving people different options of what they can do with it. This is E43. It's a much lighter color than 44. So you have to work that little transition area just a little bit more. But we still have one more color, so we'll leave some highlight area. And we got to go around these little fish because they're going to be orange, so I do not want to get too much of another color in there or it'll mess up our orange. Not technically an orange person. I don't use orange as much as I wish I did, but I do try to go to colors I haven't used in a while. But for some reason, orange was calling to me on this cute little guy. Okay, here we go. I am going to do around the outside with this color so we can keep that border going. I'm going to extend from where I put the other colors. I do switch my image around a lot. If it makes the angle easier to color, you should do that too. Put it in whatever is the most comfortable position for you. Sometimes I can color in both directions. Sometimes I can't. It just depends on the day. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So do what works for you. I do have Olo markers, and I love those as well. You can get some beautiful colors with any alcohol markers. I'm coloring in between all the little waves at the bottom. and then leaving a little bit of space for that last color. That last color is going to be E42. And we're just going to blend this out. I like a really smooth blend unless I'm trying to show some kind of fur or some kind of texture within my image. So I do kind of work carefully for that blending. I do a lot of very light touch. So make sure that you, it just depends on how much pressure. The more pressure you put on the paper, the more ink that comes out of the marker. So the less pressure, less ink. So I do a lot of light pressure so that I don't get a huge amount. But if I were going to do a background, I would put a lot of pressure on a background. So I want a lot of ink to come out. So see how you can see the line right there in the center? That happens when you switch with colors that have a wide variation, but give it a chance to dry just a teeny bit and then just go over it one more time or two if necessary, right on that line, and you can make it disappear. See how that happened? It's completely gone now. I'm going to get in between these little fish just a little bit more. There we go. So let's try that again because that might have seemed like magic. We'll get a big spot right here. So saturating that with the color. And then we have the color in there, but what do we do about that great big spot that won't blend? So leave it alone for a second, give it a chance to start drying, and then come back in and work that little line right there. You don't have to color the whole thing, just work that little line, and you can make that little line go away. Just like that. See? Magic. Don't you love that? Magic indeed. Magic indeed. I'm going to darken this up just a tad bit more. So there we go. Now we have the hat finished. And then checking my time. Okay. So let's work on the fish with YR18. I'm going to work on the surfboard too. So the outside pieces are going to have this orange on them. So I'm just going to do, I'm not going to do that center part. We're going to make that blue so that we have that variation in the surfboard. I think it's fun when you draw like flames on a surfboard, but I didn't know if I was going to have enough time for that. So I went with this. And then the little ball on his hat, I'm just going to put dots in there because it doesn't, I want it to look fuzzy. I like to color in the tail in a solid color and then underneath, and we'll make the top part of the fish a little bit lighter. But we'll just put that little bit of orange in there. Then we're going to switch to the next color, which is YR16. We're going to skip the fish and the YR16. We're just going to work on the surfboard for right now. Extending this out, going around the outside, just getting that color in there. Leaving a little bit of space for our highlight. You know, you can even put words on his surfboard if you really wanted to. I bet there's a sentiment in the set that would fit right on that surfboard if that's what you wanted to do. So try that as well. He is so cute. And he's so fun because you can change him into so many different colors. All right. Now we're going to pull in the YR04. So we'll finish up the surfboard. Should blend super nice. These colors blend naturally very well. So they're pretty easy to use. We're going to do the top of our little fish on here. These look like goldfish, like we're having a snack. Little goldfish snack. All right, so now we need to pull our blue back out for 2 more spots and then we'll be done. we'll just start doing our little texture and accents at this point. So B26 is what color I'm going to make his goggles. So I'm going to put it just dark along the top, because I don't know if you know, but sunglasses, goggles, whatever, there's always like a darker spot at the top that keeps the sun from hurting your eyes. Or that's what I always think it's for. Who knows if that's what it's really for? Don't quote me on that. I can't guarantee that is the reason. And then we're going to go along the bottom just with a very thin line. We're also going to go up the surfboard just a bit. I'm going to try to keep just like a very fine line all the way up, just so there's a little bit more shadow on the bottom side. All right, our next color is B16. I do remove both ends on the caps too, so that I don't have any problems with bleeding. I think a previous colorist mentioned that. So I'm softening those lines again that we talked about, the ones that get created when you're adding colors next to each other. Leaving the center part for the lightest color. And then we're going to stretch this dark color up the surfboard. Not all the way, but all the way on this side. Leaving the other side for a lighter color. Now, I have this really cool technique for the hat, which we're going to get to in just a moment. There we go. This is our B04 again. See how that light color just shows that light shine at the top of the surfboard? I love that. Now we're going to work on these little glasses. There we go. It almost builds its own line with the really light color, but still doesn't leave. You still can't see that line. So that's pretty cool. I like that. And then for the outside of the goggles, I mean, it was just so hard to get a color in there. My gnome is color coordinated. Most of my stuff is. I can't help it. I'm going to use that multi-liner again, just to color in the outside of the little glasses, goggles, whatever you want to call them, because it's such a tiny area. It's easier to do with my multi-liner. So that is what I decided to do, just to make it easier. Not so difficult. There we go. Almost done. And then we're going to work on that technique. So let's talk about it while I'm finishing this up. Oop, look, I need to grab that orange one more time. I missed his little tip of his hat. And I used YR16 for that. Okay, so the next technique I'm going to talk about is with the colorless blender. Love this. Yes, you could let it dry and put a glaze on the goggles. That would be awesome. So I wanted to give the hat a little bit of texture. So all I'm going to use is this colorless blender. So I started out like this. I just made a line and I did it 2 or 3 times over the same line. I spaced them approximately the same distance apart. As you can see, the colorless blender is moving the ink. It's moving it from one spot to another. That is what the colorless blender does. It does not blend, it moves. It moves the ink to a different area. So you could technically draw any kind of pattern you wanted in here. I just wanted it to look like it was a little bit like a checkered hatch kind of image, kind of design in the hat. So I just did straight lines. So you can see those lines popping up on there. It's pretty cool. We're going to do the same thing at the top right here. I'm just going to start on this side, just like 2 or 3 times. right over the same spot. We'll make it lighter, but it won't make it white. It'll just make it a little bit lighter. Know that when it moves the ink, it will move back just a little bit. So if you have to go over it a second time, you can. In this case, I want them to be very, very light. So I'm not going to go over them again. Just going to do them this one time. It's best to do this when the ink is dry on the hat, not right after you put it in there. So now we have these lines going, and I want them to go this way too. So just gonna put in a couple of them, not too many, just like 2 or 3, just to get that hole looking like there's a hatch, you know, like a thatch on the hatch, whatever that word is. I can't think of it right now. But I bet someone in the comments will say it. They know what I'm saying. And it doesn't even have to be perfect. Just so long as you're moving the ink around a little bit, you're going to get that impression and people are going to see it with their eyes. So now we have this amazing hat. Check that out. Super simple, really quick. All you had to do is use your colorless blender. Make sure you use your colorless blender for everything because it is so helpful. Now, this die that goes with this stamp set is super amazing. The same one cuts all of them. So I'm going to use the same one that each person is using on these videos. You can just line it up. It's going to have a white border around it. I'm very particular, so believe me, I spend a lot of time putting these on there, trying to get them exactly perfect, although it doesn't have to be perfect. I always do that to myself. I do have a little die cut machine I use when I do lives. So it's right here on my desk, super fast. We can cut this little guy out. I just stick him in this mini maker and cut him out. It's a little crickety, old, makes a lot of noise, sort of like my body, old, crickety. But it still works amazingly well. Nobody does it better than you. He is awesome. I always try, when I do a live like this, always try to put a little unique twist on it because who wants to watch the same thing over and over and over again? You know? Look at that. So cute. And we are really going to whip this out. You ready? Okay. Card base. Already made. Craft color. Opens up at the top. We're just going to put this whole card together because why not, right? So I had these beach scene papers. So perfect. He's at the resort about to go surfing. And then I had some rainbow-ish colors like this. So I thought, what would be better than cutting up that paper, which I already did, because I knew we had to do this kind of quick and we wanted to get it done. I really wanted you to see the whole card put together, how simple. I'm definitely a simple card maker. I cut the pieces so the blue would match on the bottom, and the sky could be whatever color I felt like at the time. So, you know, it could be closer to sunset or whatever you want to call it. I think I'll move it down like that. So what I did was I laid it on top of the card. This is pretty simple. Laid it on top of the card, leaving the border that I wanted at the bottom. And then I just added some glue right here just to get these stuck together for now. So I put this one on top about where I wanted it. There we go. And then I took this one so I could see how far from the top I wanted this one to be, sort of about the same as the bottom. And then I just put a little bit of glue at the bottom right here and attached this so that I could have it lined up on my card exactly the way that I wanted it. It's kind of a shortcut trick. And then I just press them all together. So this is one way to use all the scraps that you have. You can like build your own background using scraps and such. And then I'm just going to take my trimmer and trim it to that. Since this is an A2 card, I'm just going to trim it to that 4 inches, leaving a little bit of extra so I can trim the other side, just to make sure that I have like all my lines lined up perfectly. And once I have that done, I have a whole little scene here now. Super cute and easy. We're going to glue that on there. We're going to take our sentiment. And I like to use VersaFine Clair. Oh, where is my VersaFine Clair? Oh, there it is. I like to use VersaFine Clair for my sentiment because it's just darker than the rest. And I have a gnome-tastic summer, because why not? He's out surfing. He's having a gnome-tastic summer. So I'm just going to press that down. This is glossy paper, and this VersaFine Clair works really good on glossy paper. So you get this amazing look, and it's still dark enough. We're going to glue this little guy right here. He's about to go out surfing yet again and get even more sun. And then you can bling it up and you're all done. Look at that. I did it perfect in great timing. 2 minutes and you get to go see Sire color the mermaid gnome. I hope you guys like that. I hope you guys had some fun with the different techniques. You can add your white gel pen now if you'd like for some little designs. Entirely up to you on how you want to do it. But that's what I got for you. Thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you go out and get your gnomes. They're only available right now during the lives, so you do not want to miss. You do not want to miss out on them. And then enjoy your next beach resort surfing episode. Thanks so much. You guys have a great weekend.
Hey, Sandy, this is Lynn. Before you wrap up, could you tell us where the papers are from?
Can I tell you what?
Where the papers are from. The pattern papers that you used.
Absolutely. Yes. So the summer vacation, this is La La Land's crafts. That's the one that has all the beachy scenes. And even these little squares are perfect for this little guy. Look at that. So cute. And then the other one, the rainbow ones, came from Paper Rose, Rainbow Garden Basics. These are actually gnome collection. So there's, I don't know if you could see, but there's gnomes on them. I bought them because of the gnomes. And then I ended up using the rainbow instead. But yeah, gnomes all over them. So perfect. So Paper Rose and La La Land. But they work perfect with these amazing little gnomes.
Awesome. Thanks, Sandy. This was fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you over at the next one.
Yes, and don't forget, everybody, Sandy is on YouTube. I have her link up on screen, and it just popped up in the live chat. So don't forget to pop on over to Sandy's channel and watch some of her videos. And if you like what you see, do subscribe to her channel. Bye, everybody. See you over on the next hop.
Thank you. Thank you so much.